सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहैः। ओम शांति शांति शांति। ओम नमो ब्रह्मादिभ्यो ब्रह्म विद्या संप्रदाय कर्तृभ्यो वंश ऋषिभ्यो महद्भ्यो नमो गुरुभ्यः। ओम ओम नमः प्रणवार्थाय शुद्ध ज्ञानैकमूर्तये निर्मलाय प्रशांताय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ओम श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानामालयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादशङ्करं लोकशङ्करम्। ओम शंकरं शंकराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ओम समस्त ब्रह्म विद्या आचार्येभ्यो नमः। ऋषिभ्यो नमः मुनिभ्यो नमः गुरुभ्यो नमः देवताभ्यो नमः अस्मद्गुरुभ्यो नमः। श्री वेदव्यास वैशंपायन याज्ञवल्क्य आद्य शंकराचार्य वर्यादि समस्त गुरु परंपरायै नमो नमः। ओम अथ श्री तैत्तिरीय उपनिषत् पारायणम्। We have to chant from the Vyahruti Upasana, that is from the Anuvaka number 5. Om Bhurbhuvah Suvarithi Va Etastisro Vyahridayah तासामुहस्मैतां चतुर्थीं महाचमस्य प्रवेदयते मह इति तद्ब्रह्म स आत्मा अंगान्यन्या देवताः भूरिति वा अयं लोकः भुव इत्यन्तरिक्षं सुवरित्यसौ लोकः मह इत्यादित्यः आदित्येन वाव सर्वे लोका महीयन्ते भूरिति वा अग्निः भुव इति वायुः सुवरित्यादित्यः मह इति चन्द्रमाः चन्द्रमसा वाव सर्वाणि ज्योतिगंसि महीयन्ते भूरिति वा रुचः भुव इति सामानि सुवरिति यजोगंसि मह इति ब्रह्म ब्रह्मणा वाव सर्वे वेदा महीयन्ते भूरिति वै प्राणः भुव इत्यपानः सुवरिति व्यानः मह इत्यन्नम् अन्नेन वाव सर्वे प्राणामहीयन्ते तावा एताश्चतस्रश्चतुर्धा चतस्रश्चतस्रो व्याहृतयः तायो वेद स वेद ब्रह्म सर्वेस्मै देवा बलिमावहन्ति स य एषोऽन्तर्हृदय आकाशः तस्मिन्नयं पुरुषो मनोमयः अमृतो हिरण्मयः अन्तरेण तालुके य एष स्तन इवावलम्बते सेन्द्रयोनिः यत्रासौ केशान्तो विवर्तते व्यपोह्य शीर्षकपाले भोरित्यग्नौ प्रतितिष्ठति भुव इति वायौ सुवरित्यादित्ये मह इति ब्रह्मणि आप्नोति स्वराज्यम् आप्नोति मनसस्पतिम् वाक्पतिश्चक्षुष्पतिः श्रोत्रपतिर्विज्ञानपतिः एतत्ततो भवति आकाशशरीरं ब्रह्म सत्यात्मप्राणारामं मन आनन्दं शान्तिसमृद्धममृतम् इति प्राचीनयोग्योपास्व पृथिव्यन्तरिक्षं द्यौर्दिशो वान्तरदिशाः अग्निर्वायुरादित्यश्चन्द्रमा नक्षत्राणि आप ओषधयो वनस्पतय आकाश आत्मा इत्यधिभूतम् अथाध्यात्मं प्राणो व्यानोपान उदानः समानः चक्षुश्रोत्रं मनोवाक्त्वक् चर्ममागस्सग्गस्नावास्थिमज्जा एतदधिविधाय ऋषिरवोचत पाङ्क्तं वा इदगुं सर्वं पाङ्क्तेनैव पाङ्क्तग्गः स्पृणोतीति पाङ्क्तग्गः स्पृणोतीति ओमिति ब्रह्म ओमितीदगं सर्वम् ओमित्येतदनुकृतिः स्म वा अप्योश्रावयेत्याश्रावयन्ति ओमिति सामानि गायन्ति ओगं सोमिति शस्त्राणि शगुंसन्ते ओमित्यध्वर्यो प्रतिगरं प्रतिगृणाति ओमिति ब्रह्मा प्रसौति ओमित्यग्निहोत्रमनुजानाति ओमिति ब्राह्मण प्रवक्ष्यन्नाह ब्रह्मोपाप्नवानेते ब्रह्मैवोपाप्नोति ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ अथ श्रीकृष्णयजुर्वेदान्तर्गत तैत्तिरीय आरण्यकान्तर्गत तैत्तिरीय उपनिषद ॐ यस्माज्जातं जगत्सर्वं यस्मिन्नेव प्रलीयते येनेदन्धार्यते चैव तस्मै ज्ञानात्मने नमः यैरिमे गुरुभिः पूर्वं पदवाक्यप्रमाणतः व्याख्याताः सर्ववेदान्ताः तान् नित्यं प्रणतोऽस्म्यहं तैत्तिरीयकसारस्य मयाचार्यप्रसादतः विस्पष्टार्थरुचीनां हे व्याख्येयं सम्प्रणीयते अथ प्रथमा शिक्षा वल्ली प्रथमोऽनुवाकः शान्तिमन्त्रः ॐ शन्नो मित्रः शं वरुणः शन्नो भवत्वर्यमा शन्न इन्द्रो बृहस्पतिः शन्नो विष्णुरुक्रमः नमो ब्रह्मणे नमस्ते वायो त्वमेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्मासि त्वामेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्म वदिष्यामि ऋतं वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि तन्मामवतो तद्वक्तारमवतु अवतु माम् अवतु वक्तारम् ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः. Salutations to the entire Richamuni Guru Devata Parampara. Salutations to Shruti Mata. Salutations to Parabrahma Tattva. Let us salute Vedavyasa Bhagavan, Vaishambhayana Rishi, Yagnavalkya Rishi, and Bhagavan Adi Shankara, etc. Like any doctor, the moment he gets up in the morning, he remembers that he is a doctor and he remembers what he has to do throughout the day. So to an engineer or lawyer, so to a politician, so to a teacher when he goes to the school. So every professional early morning when he get up, they remember what their identity, what their profession, what they have to do. In the same way, you and I, if we consider ourselves to be Adhyatmika sadhakas, if we consider, the moment we get up in the morning, the identity we should have is we are a sadhaka and we must have the beginning of sadhana. Throughout the day, we must do sadhana only. First, like for the doctor, serving the patients, getting the remuneration, name and fame is the goal of his work or the day. So too for each of the professionalist, for you and me through sadhana. What is the goal is to reach out to that sublime self which is all pervading. So my identity as sadhaka and my lakshya of the Paramatma, they have to be remembered. Then only the sadhana will be remembered, understood, valued, practiced. Then the throughout the day is sadhana for us. Now, if you look into our day schedule, what's going on for you and me and in general everyone, how strongly the whole world is consuming our day. In other words, our worldliness is consuming our day in and day out. How much we are living life in the worldly level with our own mind, with our own activities. And when this continues, how, when and where, when will we reach to our real goal of Paramatma? Not only the outer world or life, so too in our mind, if we see throughout the day, other than the worldly thoughts or the vyavaharic thoughts or the broodings of the mind about the past or the anxieties of the present or anxieties for future, excitements of the present, when our bosom is filled with all these things alone all the time, to such person, even to come to the class also is an impossible feat. Even if it comes listening attentively is such a difficult thing. Even it is listened to remember what is heard or understood is again a questionable thing, and using that knowledge for knowing the truth. So honestly, we must know where do we stand now after identifying ourselves as a sadhaka, wanting to have the Brahma Darshana or Atma Darshana. So this Brahma Darshan, Atma Darshan, though it gives mukti, but for that we have to work hard. For that we have to put lot of efforts. For that we have to struggle at every level. Now we are just analyzing what is our goal and what is happening. Therefore, what to do is left to our own discretion and discrimination. Everything need not be given as food feeding by the Guru. As we grow in life, hints should be sufficient from the Guru, remaining we should understand. So too, our own Deha, how we are managing it, our own Pranamaya Kosha, how we are managing it, our own Mana and all its whims and fancies, along with its extreme Tamogunas. This is how we made ourselves because of whatever the thousands of reasons. All of that is in the earlier days never allowed even to recognize, never allowed us even to recognize there is a presence of Paramatma, Mukti giving Anubhuti, that is for pursuing that we have to become spiritual. Even to this information also we were denied by this type of personality earlier. Same this type of Vyaktitva ours now will not allow us to take up the higher and deeper sadhanas and proceed further in our achievements. Therefore, right from the beginning, along with minding our identity to be spiritual seeker, along with minding our goal to be Paramatma, equally, perhaps more importantly than these two is we have to mind about what is happening in and around me voluntarily, involuntarily, naturally. And how these happenings voluntarily means what I do. Involuntarily is आधे दिमाग से काम करना. And what is happening around me is the Prakriti or the totality or the others or the society or the Kala. How it is behaving by itself in general and how it is influencing me. This awareness we have to have. And after having that awareness, among all these things, involuntary, voluntary, and worldly happening, what are those which are conducive for my sadhana? Adopt them. Non conducive for sadhana, we should be able to reject them. In this way, for some lives, when we live, then all the inner and outer strong obstructions for our Adhyatmic sadhana, right from first scratch one step of even attending to satsang to the last step of realizing the self on the seat of meditation, we have to become aware, and unless we manage each one of them, we cannot start from the step one, cannot go through the immediate, intermediate steps, we cannot go to the final one. Let us be gambhira in this aspect. Let us be serious about this aspect. Nothing wrong. This is what is ourselves are growing in our maturity. Left to ourselves, what will happen? The irregularities in the satsanga, insincerities in listening, non-repetition or homework, not doing the homework. Therefore, the goal itself is not convinced by us. Then how will we have the aspiration, the ambition to reach that goal, ambition? Unless that ambition to reach that goal is very stronger, how will we do all sadhanas of positive and sadhanas of non-positive? Non-positive means negations. Positive means assertions. How do we do if we don't put these exercises? So this is how a sadhaka cannot afford to leave his intellect to be the slave to the mana buddhi, mana, indriya, and sharira. Sadhaka is always holding his buddhi in his hands, using it, and with using it, one side with that buddhi, he is always remembering his goal. Second time side is buddhi, he is always understanding his sadhana to be done. Third, what is that obstructing the sadhana? What is that helping sadhana? He is fully aware of it, whether it is eating the food, whether it is watching TV, whether it is sleeping, whether it is meeting with the friends, whether it is going out into the world for anything, for the work or for walking or for anything. He is fully aware with his buddhi. All these things, right from bhojana onwards up to my loitering outside, are they helping me to be a sadhaka or are they disturbing me to a sadhaka? Like a highly matured scientist, a theme he has taken for investigation. Now he is tired, so he'll relax for some time. He feels to have a cup of coffee, he will have it. He just wants to get refreshed. He comes out and has that beautiful winds outside, fresh oxygen. But while doing all that, his mind is only on the goal. And all this he is doing only to recoup himself, not as an indulgent person, not a bhogi, not at the cost of forgetting his goal. So, to a beautiful poet, a great lyricist, an artist, each of them, when they are able to consistently do their work, they do, whenever they are tired, to come out of the tiredness or any other needs, they come for those needs, but not at the cost of forgetting the work in hand or goal chosen. This is the stage we have to evolve into. How do you do? Each one find your own way. That I may go out, I may meet people, I may attend some obligatory programs, I may have to do some domestic works. All that while doing so, I must always remember my goal is that I have to go back for that pursuit. If the stage of evolution ever comes, then only the next stage, that how many our calls from within or without, how many of them are very compulsory that I must attend them at the cost of sadhana, and how many of them are rejectable, negotiable, will be coming to that level of discrimination. Then there rises the wisdom as to how to hand over all the works to others where I am not needed. Then how to avoid all the things which are not only helping sadhana but disturbing the sadhana. These subtle things start revealing to us only at that level. After doing all that only, the consistency, the regularity can be obtained or developed in us toward this sadhana. And unless we are regular, consistent for some years, some decades, our mind intellect will not set into the track or the groove of spirituality. Ultimately, I am mainly basically spiritual. I'm only doing that. Rest, I am disconnected from the world from my standpoint that I have nothing to achieve in the world. Of course, the Viveka, Vairagya, all of them help to this. Why you don't want world? Because it is binding, it is temporary, it is only illusory. The happiness in that is not real. ये सब तो होना चाहिए. इसके द्वारा ही जगत से मुझे कुछ नहीं लेना देना, वो वाला डिटैचमेंट आएगा. उसके बाद ही then I am fully the spiritual seeker all the time. Each of these stages, every seeker has to go through and grow through consciously by his own effort, consciously because of the satsangas, consciously by the grace of Guru and Bhagwan. Consciously by the grace of Guru Bhagwan means upasana of theirs and prayer to them. And my own effort means by being alert about all the time. So, in this way, these important aspects also we have to mind in life. Then, after all that is done, we have to remember one thing, that to know the truth, to realize the self, every day we have to keep on putting the efforts. The consistent, systematic efforts are given to us in every of the Upanishads. In this Upanishad, which we are studying, Taittiriya also, the steps, the guidances are given. And each of the guidances are given are called technically here as upasanas. And every of these upasana, when we do, then only to the next stage we will be able to reach. First listen, second understand, third start doing. Then having done that, come to the next level. Come to the next level. Come to the next level. In this way, we have to grow in our conscious spiritual sadhana. Then in the latest topic, what we are studying is what? Ki Dahara Akasha Sthita Purusha Upasana. If one has really done the earlier upasanas of the Vyahuruti or Samhita or Medha and did his Yagnayaga and cleared off his Upata Durtakshaya, if all the earlier things are done properly, pray to Shannomitra, learned Siksham Vyakya Syamaha, then did that Samhita Upanishad of Sandhi, Sandhanam, then Purva and Uttara Rupam, and also pray to Omkara, bless me with Medhaya Spurnotu and Shariram Ityadi, and also ask the same Omkara through Swaha mantras for the Dhana Adi, and use that Dhana Adi for doing the Yagni and clear it up all these Upata Durtakshaya. When these are all done, that person becomes fit for the inner Vyahriti Upasana, and that was said in the fifth Anuvaka. Bhurvasvaritiva eta tisraha Vyahrutaya तासामहस्मैतां चतुर्थीं महाजमस्य प्रवेदयते महैति तद्ब्रह्म स आत्मा अंगानि अन्या देवताः is a most important truth realized by the Mahachamasya Rishi. It is being given by Shruti Mata to us through the in this Upanishad, fifth Anuvaka. Same thing we have to travel. Like you and that person are here. He reached there through this path. You also reach through the same path. So Mahachamasya was like us, taking the world only real, the world of three as real. But somehow he started thinking, contemplating, then he understood for various reasons the three should have a common denominator as substratum. Only then the independent three can be there. Then he discovered that is something beyond, it is Maha, it is Brahma, it is Atma. So we also every day have to go through that practice and recognize, be attentive, presence of something other than all the three. And that fourth thing, which is other than all three, for our own convenience right from the beginning, is mentioned as Maha, mentioned as Brahma, mentioned as Atma. These three words are very inspirational words. Because it is mentioned as Maha, it is greater than the three, therefore there is a feeling in us to achieve that. Because when four things are there, we always ask which is better. It is always the seeking of the heart to go for the better when there is a choice. So, by using the word Maha, the Shruti Mata is trying to instill inspiration in us. Better that fourth is greater than three, therefore try to achieve it. Then the Shruti authority is given by the next word. This is what is glorified as the greatest substratum of the entire universe, called as Brahma in the Vedas. And whoever have discovered it as their own self. Therefore, from the not self's clutches, once for all they got liberated, which is knowingly or unknowingly the seeking topic for everyone. The difference between sadhaka and non-sadhaka is sadhaka consciously under the guidance of Guru and Shastra doing sadhana to reach the goal Atma. And non-sadhaka samsari is absolutely going wrong direction by misguidance, but for the pursuit of same vastu called as Atma. Because Atma vastu alone is Satchidanandam. Satchidanandam alone is the thing sought by everyone because nobody wants to die. No one wants to be defeated or deceived, and nobody wants to be miserable. Nobody wants to die is equal to Sat. Nobody wants to be cheated is Chit. Nobody wants to become miserable is Ananda. The non-seeker also is pursuing same. The seeker knowingly pursues. Therefore, the one who is pursued and recognized, he said, it is Atma Anubhuti. Now I am now I am experiencing the mukti from all bandhanam. Not only that, I am in the Ananda Sthiti. So the Maha is the first start thought of inspiration that is greater than the three. Brahma is the authority of the Shastra. That's what the Shastras indicate us to reach out to. Then when it is reached out to, it is experienced by everyone so intimately in themselves as an Atma. Therefore, in the Atma alone moksha, this Atma alone is that Brahma, that Brahma is that Maha. This Maha Brahma Atma is to be recognized. It is a substratum of the other three. Not knowing this, so far you were valuing only the three, which are neither real nor substantial nor givers of what you seek. Therefore, change your pursuit. Shift your attention from these three to the four. This is what said by Shruti Mata and Mahachamasya exactly should happen in us. That is called the Upasana of Vyahruti inside us. How can I go for these three when there is fourth Maha is there? And it is Brahma, and it is Atma. And these things are only Angani, Anya Devataha. This feeling when it comes in us, then I am doing the Upasana of it. Upasana is what? These sentences along with Bhashya, we have to keep in the intellect as a memory all the time and working on that knowledge. As a result of which, our value, importance, attention given to Bhurvasvaha is withdrawn and is shifted to Mahaha. That's called Upasana then. That's why he gave four things for exercise. And this habit developed having done these exercises should be practiced everywhere. Throughout the life, wherever I am, I have to observe what are the three, what is the fourth. Let me attend to the fourth. Not the three obvious, but something beyond. So I am Lokaha, Antariksha Lokaha, Asau Lokaha, then Aditya is important. In this way, these upasana of the Vyahruti we have to do. I will not explain in detail because we have seen it sufficiently. We are just reminding every day for 5-10 minutes only to see that we are not forgetting what we have heard earlier and we are establishing the continuation. Otherwise, with our great memory like that of Kumbhakarna, anything said 2 seconds back also we forget. Then if the connectivity is not established as to what we are studying and what we have to do in sadhana as a next step, continuation of the earlier, then it always will be vague. Then there is no inspiration to do. Then without doing, if you don't do without inspiration, the achievement will not come. And the achievement is not there. Everything becomes meaningless, boring. We leave it and go. ये सब नहीं होना चाहिए. Now, having done this one in the Panchama Anuvaka about the Vyahruti Upasana, the next step, that Maha, that Brahma, that Atma, the Upalabdhi Sthanam and Upalabdhi Prakriya and taking further him to the higher, these three were indicated in the sixth Anuvaka, which we were studying from last few days. So, what is the essence of all that? If you see, we always should now onwards, kya? From the last 15 days when we started this topic, always try to become aware of our Hridaya Akasha. In that, the Purusha. Or the other way around, try to trace to the Purusha in us, the Aham in us. It will take us to the Akasha because this Purusha is there in the Akasha only, Hridaya Akasha, which is not Sthula. In the Sthula Mamsa Pinda, which is like an inverted lotus, in that there is an Akasha. That Akasha is Sukshma. Okay, is Sukshma. And Akash का कोई size नहीं होता, याद रखना. You can't measure the space as small or big. It is a subtler thing, immeasurable. So, to that, immeasurable means not coming under the category of the measurement, means dropping that idea of kitna bada, kitna chota. Just try to focus on the Akasha there. Always our life, what is spiritual sadhana according to sixth Anuvaka, trying to trace into Hridaya Akasha, trying to trace into Hridaya Akasha, always trying to focus our attention to Hridaya Akasha. In that Akasha, kisko ढूंढना है? We have to discover the Purusha. Who is the Purusha? Not an object, somebody. It is me, Aham. In Bhakti Marga, in the Hridaya Akasha, we make the asanam for our own Ishta Devata and all. We do the Upasana of them. That is Bhakti Upasana. That also is very essential. That is taught in our Bhakti Shastras. There, having done the Upasana of the Ishtadevata in the Hridaya, then to him, me the Upasaka, myself, I surrender to him. Then the Hridaya is experienced as with the presence of that Paramatma only whom I have done worship. This is how it happens in the Bhakti Marga. In the Vedanta Marga, there the Purusha is being searched out to be. I. So, what are the first steps? First step is always trying to become aware of the Hridaya Akasha, which is other than Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya. Okay? Don't forget it at all. All the time we should remember. And if we have developed that ability to attend our focus to the Hridaya Akasha, in that the next step is we have to try to trace the presence of the Purusha. There is some aham is going on. First feeling of that. कुछ है वहाँ अहम अहम एंड देन वहाँ से ही वो अहम निकल कर थ्रू ऑल दीज सुशिरास एंड नाडीज spreading all over the deha and mana and all, it is doing all the activities as doer. So, Aneka Nadi, Sushiraha, Pranamayaha, all that were told only to tell us that it is because that Purusha staying in the Hridaya Akasha, be attentive, that all activities are happening at all levels of our personality, of course through the help of Prana Shakti, through the Nadis. तो कौन कर रहा है सब काम? मैं. कहाँ हूँ मैं? हृदय में. हृदय में रहने वाला मैं सारे देह में फैल कर हाउ आई एम डूइंग द वर्क थ्रू द प्राण शक्ति as well as the nadi sushira, the sukshma nadis. So our attention was till now in the world outside or at the most at the deha level to manage it. Now our attention regularly is on the purusha in the hridaya akash. Let it take 100 years if required. Give the 100 years, but reach to that Purusha in the Hridaya. And feel that Purusha, the meaning. Now use the meaning given by Adi Shankara. What is that Purusha? Purushete iti Purusha Purnatvat Purusha. First feeling is what? Are this Purusha in the Hridaya Akasha is sleeping to his essential nature and awakened to the false identity with the Annaprana Mana and suffering. How long this should happen? Why should it happen? What is it fetching positive? Other than getting conditioned by Deshakala Vastu because of the Upadita Adatmya and going through all the sufferings, all the miseries. That feeling we have to have after tracing that Purusha. Then the other side, in fact, this Purusha alone is the infinite Purusha. That I have to recognize. Instead of allowing this Purusha to become limited through the identity with Upadhi, I have to make that Purusha transcend all the Upadhi and experience him as the Purna Purusha. So the Jiva Purusha inside is becoming Deha Purusha so far. Now the Jiva Purusha has to become Purna Purusha. That feeling we have to have. That is the purpose of using those four words there. What is that? Tasminayam Purushaha, then Manomayaha, then Amritamayaha, Hiranyamayaha. So I am the Purusha there. I am the Manomaya Purusha there. Identified with the Ahamvritti, the Chidabhasa, and this I am Manomaya Purusha, Shete, sleeping to the self and awakened to the Deha Dadatmya and suffering. It's like anything. You buy a scooter, it is troubling you, and you suffered it, you sold it, the suffering is gone. In the same way, we try to identify with the Dehendriya Adi, which is never compulsion. But we made it as if it's a compulsion. Then we are suffering only. Every suffering in the world is self-chosen compulsion because of identifying with the upadhis out of our ignorance, born out of non-thinking, because we never study Shastra, we never go to the Guru. Unless you go to Guru and study Shastra in Satsanga, they will not give us, we will not have the idea, guidance to reach to the heart and contemplate in this way as to what is happening in me, by me, with me, and what am I getting. So, go to the heart, yes. Look at the Purusha, yes. Understand him to be the Manomaya Purusha, yes. Actually, he is a Purna Purusha, but that experience is not there. But to that Purna Purusha, he is a Shete, he is sleeping only. then still he is not dead. Then to what he is awakened? He is awakened only to his identity, to Anna Pranamana, and only working through them and limiting himself to only that. Therefore, he is subjected to karma and karma phala through ragadvesha, and later on he is conditioned or forced to have the janma marana bandhanam. I am doing like that. It's where anywhere like a shop में 6 item लगा के बेचते जा रहे. He never thinks of the next 2 3 items. If he adds, he can develop the business. He is sleeping to the higher. Everywhere it is so. You and I also. We sleep to the higher and awaken only to the routine lower. Even at the food level, we don't even think what can be more tasty, what can be more nourishing. वो है सड़ा हुआ, वो daily वही खाते रहते. We don't even understand sometimes कि the bed on which I am sleeping, can it be improved upon so that I have sound deep sleep in the lesser time. दिमाग हमारा है ही नहीं, काम करता ही नहीं, हम ऐसे रहते हैं ना. We are fixed mentalities, we are ours. Never ever the intellect is alert like a scientist who always try to recognize something higher, greater for more comforts. सोया हुआ दिमाग हम सबका. Doing routine only, nonsense we are all. Same stupid talking to the people and everything. Can I change my tone? Can I increase my love? Can I increase my concern for them? Can today I try to make them happy more than myself? ये सब बातें दिमाग के होते हैं. हमारा दिमाग घुटने भी नहीं है. It's a fact. And if you don't accept it, the fact is proved. In the same way, we have never reached our heart and inquired to what we are sleeping and to what we are awakening. Is it right or not? Everywhere, throughout the day, my alertness to develop, my alertness to improve, my alertness to perform better is the one which is the cause because of which, right from beginning, evolution happened in every level. Never ever evolution happens if somebody is stagnant at what they are doing. Human beings have this tendency either to be stagnant or commit such nonsense by which even falls down from human to the animal level. Living life at the Annaprana level is animalistic level. Animals do that. Somehow through some prayer, some practice, or whatever the reasons, we have come to the human. If we don't recognize we are human and if we don't recognize our goal is higher and subtler, in the non-recognition of that, we will only identify and recognize ourselves to the upadhi and work through them only to get demoted. By the way, I am sharing all this. They are all anushangika. In सब मिलकर spirituality कहते हैं. Understanding is spirituality mainly. Understanding is upasana. If you understood it, then every time, every moment, you are a spiritual upasaka. Upasaka in Vedanta or in a general parlance of spirituality, what we call as meditation alone is upasana. Now, upasana word which we are very frequently using in our Upanishad classes nowadays, because that is what upasa it is coming. It is not the Devata upasana like we do for the Lord Abhisheka ityadi. Here upasana is knowledge. Upasana is conviction. Upasana practicing the convinced knowledge. Okay, so reach to the heart, yeah. Recognize the presence of some aham, yeah. Have you recognized him to be the Manomaya? Yeah. Now, is that Manomaya is sleeping to his essential nature or is sleeping to the Tadatmya Upadhi? Is sleeping to the Upadhi? Is Paramatma awakened to this? So, having the feeling for a long time, many days. No more I sleep to the self, I awaken to the self. No more I unnecessarily go through the Upadhi Tadatmya and do all this. That way, when we do, whatever the habits are there, whatever the vasanas are there, which were making us forget Paramatma, which were making us again and again live the life at the level of Upadhi, they will be reduced to. And to that, the positive thing added is what? Amritaha, Hiranmayaha. May I discover myself to be that immortal self. May I discover myself to be that Hiranmaya Purusha, not the Jadamaya. Hiranyamaya is Kantimaya, Tejomaya, and Jnanamaya, Chinmaya. That self I have to recognize in me, not this Jadata. That feeling should be induced. That's called as upasana. A lot of the time we are jada, and whenever we are non jada, we are having awareness. We have awareness only about the jada vastus, which are again making us jada only. You always attend to Chaitanya Tattva, we become one with Chaitanya. But what do we attend is only jada. And we therefore tired, get exhausted, and feel sleepy and sleep. All that is jadata only. जड़ वस्तुएं जड़ भोग उसी के पीछे बढ़कर जड़ ही जा रहे बन रहे हैं इंस्टेड ऑफ दैट लेट मी डिस्कवर द हिरण्मयत्व इन मी लेट मी डिस्कवर द अमृतमयत्व इन मी let me not sleep to these higher greater possibilities, is it not? And the contrast is what, if we are awakened to the worldliness, we are necessarily sleeping to the self in us. And if we are awakening to the self in us, definitely we will be sleeping to the worldliness. That is what in Gita, Ya Nisha Sarvabhutanam Tasyam Jagarti Samyami Yasyam Jagrati Bhutanam Bhutani Sa Nisha Pashyato Munehe. देखा. And this urge to discover myself to be Amrita Hiranmaya should be keeping us awake all the time and take ourselves to the heart and make us become aware of that Amritamaya Hiranmaya Purushatva. This Amritamaya Hiranyamaya is not the absolute Parabrahma in this particular context, though that is our goal. But here the evolution is only of the Jiva from identifying the Upadhi individual to the identification total. That is taught right now in the Upasanas. Never forget the context. So, having this way identified the Purusha in me, Amruta Hiranyamayaha, and who is Manomayaha, then consciously through the Yoga Marga, I slowly come out of the individual Upadhi Tadatmya to the total Upadhi by identifying with the substratum of the Upadhi. Clear? Then our effort should be for what? To identify the Samashti Upadhis, not the Vyashti. Why? Because through one Upadhi, if you get this much of Sukha, with all the Upadhi total, when you identify how much Sukhi we become, in that lalasa, for the more happiness, which is obtained by the total Upadhi Tadatmya, we have to reject or come out of the individual Upadhi Tadatmya. Then we can, because the problem, see, when you enter into totality, problems become reduced because the total Paramatma starts helping us. But when we live at the individual level of my, it is such a sadhava state that we are at the lowest level, like in a slum area, not available for the God or Guru, even for coming there to help us. कोई ऐसे स्लम एरिया में फायर एक्सीडेंट हुआ, फायर इंजन ही नहीं आ सकता उधर. You understand it? It can't come. It has come up to that level. 100 मीटर दूर पर आ गई है. अब वहां से यहाँ पानी नहीं आ रहा है. In the same way, living life at individual upadhi level is the most frustrating thing. Not for us, for the Guru and God, because they can't help us. फंसा हुआ है. Feel the meaning of what is said now. एक इंडिविजुअल उपाधि में इतने फंस कर सड़े हुए हैं हम. गुरु वांट टू हेल्प अस, नहीं भूख लग रही है. गुरु वांट टू हेल्प अस, नहीं नींद आ रहा है. गुरु वांट टू हेल्प अस, बट नो तबीयत खराब है. अरे मूर्ख, इफ यू आर ओनली एट दैट लेवल, व्हेन विल आई टीच यू द तत्व? Please recognize we are very heavily caught up in our individual upadhi tadatmya. That will make us only samsarity, work for Shabda Sparsha only for billions of lives if we allow. So, one of the techniques that is adapted given to us in Shastras is to get out of the individual upadhi. That is only when you recognize it. मैं मेरे व्यक्तिगत उपाधियों से फंसा हूँ, ये रिकॉग्नाइज करके देन मुझे इससे बाहर आना है. द वन हु हैज दिस क्लैरिटी, टू हिम ओनली दिस उपासना, व्हाट इज दिस प्रैक्टिस दैट स्टार्ट सर्विंग द टोटल उपाधिस with the same individual upadhi. For what purpose? To get out of the identification this upadhi. That's why a person who serves the bhojan to others, he never feels hunger for himself because he is identifying the total upadhi and is enjoying that. The one who is serving the people in the hospital, है ना, पेशेंट्स को, उसको खुद का बीमारियां, खुद का थकावट याद नहीं रहता because identifying the total. That means what? Knowingly or unknowingly, they have transcended the individual. That is called sadhana. They don't know it. The one who knows it consciously, then all the time, though staying in the individual upadhi, but his concern is only for total. Understand? This is the intermediate stage, which is very, very helpful if you can really do it. That while living in the Deha only. And while living in the Deha, this should be an essential sadhana that I, the Purusha, have to not only recognize myself in the heart, but I have to eject out of this individual upadhi and identify total upadhi and beyond that also. For all that, while living in the body also, I have to serve or use this upadhi. I have to use this upadhi to serve total. No, this has to come in us. This understanding is sadhana. After understanding only we do it. If the understanding is not come, even if we do, why we are doing, we don't know. हम कहते हैं गुरु ने कहा सेवा करने को, शास्त्र ने कहा करने को. अरे बेटा, गुरु ने कहा, शास्त्र ने कहा, no doubt about it. But then why did they say so? What is the logic behind it? We, being a self all permeating, are caught up to such a small upadhi of this one Panchamahabhuta Panchakoshas to make us come out of that only, they tell us. Know that, then our doing sadhana become joyful because I understood the purpose, which is higher, which is greater. So, this is how it works out. So, what we are doing? Saya Eshontar Hridaya, Hridaya Akasha, Tasmin Ayam Purusha, Purusha Manomaya, Manomaya Purusha Amrutaha, Amrutamaya Purusha Hiranyamaya. And that Hiranyamaya Purusha, through all these sadhanas, can, through the taluka, through this Murtinistana, consciously he can reject out of individual upadhi. Then when he traces, go beyond, because while living only, instead of the individual, he served the total, whichever the field he served, to the substratum of that, means to the Maha of that Vyahruti, he is promoted to get identified with. That promotion obviously gives him those special powers. So that is where we came up to yesterday in the class. So Vyapohya Shirsha Kavale. Okay. Then Bhurityagno Pratitishthati Bhuvariti Vayau Swarityaditye Mahiti Brahmani Apnoti Swarajyam Apnoti Manasaspatim Vakpatischakshushpati Shrotrapatir Vijnanapati Etat Tato Bhavati Akasha Shariram Brahma Satyatma Pranaramam Mana Anandam Shanti Samruddham Amrutam iti. Therefore, Prachina Yogya Upasva. Such a great, grand, glorious results that are going to come to you. Oh, my dear Prachina Yogya. Therefore, Upasva. Do this Hridayakasha Purusha Upasana right from the first step of recognizing him there up to bringing him out of this individual upadhi and making him identify with the total. See, these all possibilities you have to recognize, and it's not new in those days. हमेशा वही पढ़ाते रहते थे, सब उसी में मस्त बिजी रहते थे. Nowadays, because we are given only the worldly education, so much importance, and that alone became the goal to us. Therefore, we never got exposed to this. अब से शुरू करो, 5 साल आगे, listen only to this Vedanta and become deep and contemplative as guided, and you can see that it is possible to us. That we have recognized the Purusha in our heart, and then to reject this Purusha, to make him the Purna Purusha, he'll have to get out of the Upadhis. The Upadhi getting out is possible when, instead of serving the individual Upadhi, when he serves the total. If you serve the individual Upadhi, the Vasanas for this will grow, then every life will be like that only. If I am consciously living the life of individuality for the sake of totality, not only the new vasanas I am creating, which are the cause for new births, but I will be becoming freed from this upadhitada. It's a beautiful thing. Clear? उसके बाद फिर क्या है? One by one we were seeing yesterday. So first, Bhurityagno Pratitishthati we have explained. Agni is the anga of Mahabrahma. Clear? Agni is the anga of this Mahat Brahma. This Mahat Brahma's anga, which is called Agni. Agni is the Maha, the fourth Vyahruti or the substratum for Bhu. The Bhu came from the Agni Tattva. So he becomes one with the Agni Tattva. Therefore, entire Bhu, Stula Deha of the entire universe will be under his control or command. Means what? He will not be caught up with one Upadhi as he was earlier. Now, with this Upadhi he can help. With the other Upadhi he can work. With the total Upadhi he can work. More than that, he can withdraw from the Upadhi. The Bhu Upadhi. He can remain only in the Agni Tattva. So he is in the cause of this Stula called as the Agni. Only when that Stula Agni, the cause, becomes the effect, the Stula, that all the Stula Prapancha is there and we are caught up in that. He is always in the Sukshma. Try to catch these points. Bhu iti agnau pratitishthati means I, who has always the freedom to get identified with anything, have misused that freedom and got identified with the bhu. Bhu means all grass. And where from this bhu stulata came from Agni. So because of his upasana while living in the body, serving the totality, he gets qualified, promoted to be identified with the Agni Tattva. Bhurityagno pratitishthati. So what was Bhagavan saying to us? That should be enough for us to understand. So, Bhu iti vyaharit rupaha. See, taya evam vidvan manomaya atmadarshi murdana vinishkramya asya lokasya adhishtata. The one who is adhisthana for this entire loka, Bhu iti vyaharit rupaya agnihi mahata brahmana angabhutaha tasmin agno pratitishthati. What a beautiful explanation it is. He will get established in the Agni Tattva. Therefore, those people who have done this upasana and come to Agni Tattva, any human beings, any persons, diseases at the body level, they are able to cure. They are able to help. Because they have identified the Agni Tattva, they are given that special powers. Some of them use, many of them don't use. Many of them rishis, those yogis who have come to this level, they only ask the Ishvara. Ishvara tells, "Koi karne ki zarurat nahi," even though you do, let that fellow go to the prarabdha deha, then that will give him vairagya. That's the purpose, so you need not. Otherwise, what will happen? Like the other missionaries, Friday go and confess, remaining 7 days, 6 days go on doing all the papa. We do all nonsense with the Deha and get the suffering of the Deha and go to the Guru Maharaj. Guru with his Yoga Shakti, because I identify the Agni Tattva, removes our disease. Again we come back and do the same nonsense. This is possible, but at the higher level they don't allow. They say, suffer, tab teru pata chalega, what murkhata you are doing. Then you develop vairagi and come out of all that nonsense. That is a required thing for evolution. What I am saying is, such a Bhu Vyahrati Upasaka gets identified after leaving through Murdhna Bhaga with its substratum called as Agni. He gets established in the Agni Tattva. Having established in Agni Tattva, every grass Thula will be under his command. That is what is said here. Taya means with that root of Indrasya Yoni, Evam Vidwan, Manomaya Atmadarshi, Murdhana Vinishkramya. All that today we explained last 35 minutes. मनोमय आत्मदर्शी बताया ना, पहले हृदय में जाओ, फिर पुरुष को पकड़ो. देन याद रखना कि एक्चुअली हिरणमय अमृतमय होना चाहिए, बट इज पुरुष है ना पुरुष, मनोमय पुरुष. After feeling that, then I am caught up, I have to come out. Therefore, I have spent the entire life only in serving the total, not the individual. While doing so, you get such a freedom from the individual upadhi that I, from the Hridaya Akasha, in the Yoga Marga, we can eject out of this Murdhni. Then where he goes is Agniho Pratitishthati, if he has done the Upasana Bhuhu. So, means he has helped the gross bodies of the people through various. Taya evam vidvan manomaya atmadarshmi murdhna niniskramya asya lokasya adhishtata. The entire bhuloka you can see. This has its adhisthana, from where it came. What is that? Agni. अष्टलोक अधिष्ठाता भू इति व्याहृति रूप यह अग्नि। इस लोक का अधिष्ठान जो भूलोक व्याहृति का अधिष्ठान है अग्नि तत्व। एंड द अदर साइड दैट अग्नि तत्व इज महतः ब्रह्मणः अंगभूतः, इज द अंग ऑफ द महत ब्रह्म। To that Agni, Tasmin Agno Pratitishthati. So this is that one Siddhi he gets. Because he identified the Agni Tattva or established the Agni Tattva, he is free from the Stulata and he can even serve people who are in Stula, by the way. That is the idea. Such people, somebody has got any problem physically, ailment hai, bukhar hai, even there are some subtle things of, not up to the level of cancerous, but जो भी है, हाथ से ऐसे टच कर देते हैं, done, it is done. Because the Agni Tattva in them, they invoke, and that Agni Tattva Shakti say, whatever the adjustments problem is there in the body, वो सेट करते. हाथ मुड़ा हुआ है या पैरालिसिस हुआ है, and वो like that, surprised. How is it done? Agni Tattva. And that Agni doesn't burn those people. Some great yogis, Siddha Purushas, Avaduto. You have seen the khana banate hain. So, the entire hot thing that is there, when it had to be mixed, अपने हाथ ही उस पे लगा कर वो करते हैं. You don't understand. ये कैसे हो रहे? Why the hand is not burning? Their hand is hand for you and me. For them it is Agni Tattva. That Agni will not burn this Agni. Therefore they do it. ग्रेट योगी दे आर. बड़ा बड़ा गरम पतीला ऐसे हाथ से उठाकर नीचे रखते हैं. Because that Agni is identified with them. They identified the Agni, so it won't burn. They like that. So many examples you can see in the world of Mahayogis. So they, in many lives of sadhana, have transcended the stula, therefore Agni Tattva Tadatmyata, they were given, because of which they are able to do this. One thing is done. Next one is what? Angabhuta tasmin agno pratitishthati. That's what Agni Atmana imam lokam vyapnoti ityartaha. Is it not? This Jiva Atma identifying the Deha only was living at the Deha level now. But when he ejects out and gets identified with Agni, means what? Having made himself, having the Agni as his Atma, he permeates the entire world. Because entire world is permeated by the Agni Tattva. क्यों? क्योंकि वो Agni Tattva से बना है. I read this sentence again, try to feel the meaning of it, which is very obvious. I did not even explain in English also. Agni Atmana imam lokam vyapnoti ityartaha. He permeates the entire world by becoming one with the Agni Tattva. That is the meaning of Agnau Pratitishthati. Purityagno Pratitishthati का अर्थ हुआ है. Agni Atmana Pratitishthati. So the Agni is the Atma of the entire Bhu Stulata. And with that Atma of the whole world called Agni, he is identified with. He is what now? He is Agni. Agni Tattva se Tadatmya. So the Aham Tattva, which is identified with the Deha now, is identified with Agni Tattva. Then Agni is the about substratum of all the Stulata in the Jagat. Therefore, he has got those siddhis, whichever are possible. One or two we mentioned, hundreds are possible, they are that way. Clear? Now, if he does the feeding of the people called as Prana Upasana, second Vyahriti Upasana, what will happen to him? Bhuva Upasana. Second one is called Bhuvariti Vayau. Tata Bhuvah iti Dvitiya Vyahruti Atmani Vayau Pratitishthati iti Anuvartate. So the one who, instead of catering only to his Pranamaya Kosha, he served the Pranamaya Kosha of everybody. Such individual, Purusha, when he ejects out of the cranium by his Yoga Shakti, he will be given identification with the Pranavayu permeating all over the world, which is the Karana substratum for the hunger and thirst in all the beings, which is the second kosha, Pranamaya kosha. Then I gave you example of yesterday, Lord Krishna, when he took one small that grain of that Shakha, entire team of Durvasa Maharshi and all, their hunger was just satiated. That is called identifying with the Bhuvariti Vayu. Because the Vayu only when it enters inside, touch, of course, touched by the conscious self in us, becomes the Pranamaya. That Prana is the one source of energy for the entire faculties. But that source of energy comes, which is packed in the Stula Bhojana Rupa. Therefore, the hunger is created there, because of which we consume the food, then from the food the energy is released. But at a higher stage, in fact, one through the sadhana goes to identify the pranamaya kosha, stula bhojana is not required for him. Directly from the prana outside, he gets the food. That's why the many yogis, they don't eat or drink anything for decades also. The very many, they're not required. मन को इंद्रियों को प्राण शक्ति चाहिए और पॉकेट में हवा में अवेलेबल है. आई टेक इट. आई डोंट नीड टू गो थ्रू दैट प्रोसेस ऑफ eating the food and digesting it and getting the energy and throwing the thing outside. ये सब compulsions to you and I who are so much identified as stulata. But there is a stage of evolving to identify the pranamaya so that we are not suffering with hunger and thirst. So too such person can quench the hunger and thirst of all by various means. Like what Valmiki ji told to the Lavakush. He don't worry about the hunger and thirst. These are the fruits that are there. You eat them. And as I told you, go to all these places and go on singing. For the children, because their minds are at the grass level of the food, he told them कि फल है खाओ energy आएगा. But from his side, Valmiki Mahagnani Yogi, he has given so much of energy to those children to sing, which has not come from the food they ate. They think कि हमने फल खाया इसलिए एनर्जी है सुबह से शाम तक गाते जा रहे हैं. No. It is grace of the Valmiki Maharaj. He has induced that prana shakti into them that they were chanting or studying or explaining those 20 sargas every day in that sabha. It went on till that whole Ramayana was over. So what he might have done, Valmiki ji there, because he himself a Mahayogi, he must have tapped the prana shakti which is there in the world and connected it to those children. To the extent required, आपको प्राण शक्ति काम करने के लिए मिलेगा. लाइक इन द टैप वाटर, जितना पानी चाहिए आप खोल सकते हो, थोड़ा चाहिए थोड़ा, ज़्यादा ज़्यादा. So it has been done like that. So too Shukadev ji Maharaj must have given that power to Parikshit also, because he was not eating food and drinking. So hunger thirst छोड़ उन खाना वाना छोड़ दिए वो. That's called Prayopavesha. Then how he was sustaining to listen to satsang and all? Because the guru might have induced him in the prana shakti. These are possibilities. They are not only imaginations. You and I, through all these sadhana, can evolve. But all of them, none of them are moksha. They are all only to tell us that these are possible. Therefore, try to reach to them instead of living a wretched life at the only one upadhi level, considering this one only everything, and because of this, all ragadvesha, every useless thoughts we have in mind, every worst thing in the life we do, and incur all the sin only because of this delusion that I am only this. To come out of this individuality and rise above, which is an essential step in between. The one who is individualized or individual life में जी रहा है अपने देह मन के लिए, theoretically may study all shastra, practically he can't even move one step. That is what we studied in all other shastras. Vivek Chudamani, he said, oh, Deha Tadatmi Wala, he is like a person wanting to swim the ocean, holding on to a living crocodile. शरीर पोषणार्थी सन या आत्मानं निदृक्षति ग्राहम धारुदया धृत्वा नदीं तर्तुं स गच्छति. Obvious reason is what? When he sits for meditation, other than annamaya pranamaya and the desires for that, never ever you will have the thought of Paramatma only, because इतना फंसा हुआ उसमें. अब जब इतना इससे तादाद में है वही वृत्तियां आएंगे ना. How can you contemplate, meditate on the beautiful form of the Lord? सगुण साकार में, then how can we reach to the Purusha in the heart? नहीं होता हो। तो इसलिए जरूर हमको कुछ जिंदगियां, some lives we have to spend in serving the world, so that we come out of our individual upadhis. Immediate उपाधि come out means excessive identification जो है, जीना इसी के लिए जो हम कर रहे हैं ना, उससे बाहर आने के लिए। आफ्टर दैट द उपाधि विल बी देयर, इट इज यूज्ड फॉर साधना, बट अभी साधना करना ही नहीं दे रहा हो। सो मच आइडेंटिफिकेशन वी गॉट इट। 24 घंटे ओनली अबाउट अन्नमय प्राणमय मनोमय, अन्न प्राण मन, दिमाग बुद्धि सड़ी गया। दिस इज व्हाट वी स्टार्टेड आवर क्लास टुडे विथ। So bhurityagno pratitishthati. Now second is bhuvariti vayau. So when he identifies with the second vyaharuti bhuvaha, then he will be established pratitishthati in vayu. As vayu, as we told you, vayu is the source of energy, strength, power also, and he is the one which is a substratum of the pranamaya kosha, which needs food through hunger and thirst. Such person himself will be rising above pranamaya kosha. Therefore, hunger and thirst will not bother him. Yet, because he is identified with the vayu, he has got infinite amount of energy. So Hanuman ji is in this situation. Vayu putra hai. इसलिए हंगर एंड थर्स्ट वाज नॉट देयर टू हिम, ही जस्ट फ्लू अक्रॉस। टिफिन बॉक्स लेके गए क्या हनुमान जी, और ऑनलाइन ऑर्डर इन बिटवीन, भाई सुरसा के यहाँ मैं लैंड कर रहा हूँ, सेंड मी ईटिंग, नथिंग डूइंग देयर। ही वेंट देयर एंड सर्च एंड ऑल दैट। इन तुलसी रामायण इट इज रिटन कि माँ तुम ही लगो भूखी एंड भूखा। इन वाल्मीकि में वो भी नहीं कहते भूख नहीं, कुछ नहीं। प्राणमय कोश से तादात्म्य करने वाला, मतलब वायु से तादात्म्य करने वाला को सारे प्राणमय कोश अपने काबू में होते हैं। दे आर मोर नॉट मोर लाइबिलिटीज, एंड दिस इज अचीव्ड इन अनदर वे आल्सो। व्हेन वी लिव द लाइफ एट द मनोमय लेवल, then the annamaya pranamaya are transcended. Example is mother. Mother is at manomaya level because of her excessive beautiful love for the children. Therefore, she forgets her own hunger, thirst. She forgets her own sleep. Sleep is Annamaya Kosha. Anywhere when you have love, you sacrifice the food as well as the gross thing. Means Deha Tadat. इसलिए that wife, because of her love for husband, भूखी प्यासी goes on waiting for her. और करवा चौथ में यही टेस्ट कराते हैं, how much you conquer your hunger, thirst for your love for the husband, all that. And husband also should not कि बहुत खा के आके फिर नहीं नहीं नहीं, he also भूखा only in the office. Then he comes, then she feeds him and he feeds her. Both are fed up with each other subsequently. This is another way. So here what I said, Bhuvariti Vayao. So he becomes his Pratishta in the Vayu Tattva, which is subtler than the Agni Tattva. Again, वायु से अग्नि आता है ना, अग्नि से भूमि. So bhuvariti vayo pratitishthati anuvartate. In the same way, suvariti tritiya vyahruti atmani aditye. If he is doing the upasana while living in the body of catering to the emotions and feelings of the people around. So catering to the stula deha is bhu vyahruti upasana. Catering to the hunger is called bhuva vyahruti upasana. Catering to the emotions of others is called suvaha vyahruti upasana. The one who does the bhu upasana after leaving the cranium through this yoga marga, pratitishthati in agni. The one who is done the bhuvaha, he pratishta in the vayu. Then the one who is doing suva upasana while living in deha, when he leaves it, to what he is getting identified with, suvariti aditye. Aditya both jnanam as well as emotion prema. Mana buddhi दोनों आप ले लो, आदित्य का अर्थ है. तो वी आर knowledgeable, therefore we will be able to give knowledge to others. And we are loving and kind, we are able to give the required love, kindness, compassion. That is the meaning of identifying the Aditya Tattva. When we identify the Aditya Tattva, everybody's problem caused by the intellectual misunderstanding, we know it. we'll be able to answer them at that intellectual level. So to everybody's emotional suffering we understand, and we will be able to help them to come out of that. That is the meaning of identifying with the Aditya Tattva. And that will happen when we, while living in this Deha, try to do it for a long time. So it's an effortful thing, but that efforts become fructified through Yoga Marga when we eject by giving us an identity with Aditya, after which that person's life is not for his own particular personal mind, not for his own personal emotion that everybody should love me, and his own intellect that everybody should accept my idea. That nonsense will not be there in that. Personal nonsense is not there, and everybody's level they understand and they cater, like Adi Shankara Bhagavan. He is in the Aditya Tattva, therefore, he expressed the emotional poetry of all these stotra, which also are at the grossest level up to the highest level. You know, what he wrote at Shivananda Lahari, the devotion in that is little different level. Same when he writes the Lalita, what is called Pancharatnam, or this is Meenakshi Pancharatnam, level of difference is different for the different level category it is students. Same he when he writes the devotion grantha of Mahishasura Mardini kaho, ya nahi to Karakadara Stotram kaho, ya even that Lakshmi Nusima Karavalambam, it is a higher grade for the higher students. So he is giving the support of bhakti towards Bhagwan to for the bhaktas. So he understood the sadhakas will be at this emotional level of helplessness. They need some support. Who can support Bhagwan? How? When we give such stotrams, they become devoted and they help themselves. So the writings of such Mahatmas are from that higher level, and therefore their literature is eternal. Whoever is at that level of requirement and approach those Shastra, they get that emotional support. Hope you are understanding what is it. So too, he becomes identified with the Aditya, which is another aspect of the Bana called as understanding or knowledge or buddhi. He has written the commentaries on all the Upanishads and all. He has written the independent textbooks for those young people who want to understand the truth. So it is an intellectual service, emotional service of writing the Shastras, explaining the Tattva, as well as writing the Shastras, helping us to hook up to the Paramatma in the Saguna Sakara through Bhakti. An example. Adi Shankara Bhagavan is an example for being identified with the Aditya Tattva, and the expression of such person is rising above his own personal emotions and intellections, understanding and catering to the totality. Suvariti Aditya. How beautiful that life would be. Hmm. After all, I want Ananda. I was getting the Ananda for individual upadhis earlier. Now I am getting Ananda total upadhi. Like when I am confused with my intellect, so much suffering. Suddenly an idea clicks to me, an understanding comes, I am happy. So with my understanding, I am happy at this one level. If the understanding is spread to everyone, how much happy I would be? So many times multiplied, no? तो खुशियां दूसरों की खुशियां में देखना इज द ग्रेट स्पिरिचुअल साधना. फिर उसके बाद सबके खुशियों में खुशियां देखना, फिर भगवान में खुशी देखना, फिर उनसे एक हो जाना. These are the four stages. Now, Bhurva Swavyarti, when we did it came. Then what about the Maha Upadhi? If we do the Upasana of the Maha Vyahriti, to what we get identified is Brahma. Here Maha means what? Ahankar. That individual level, when I am in my life, when I live the life of respecting every individual, valuing every individual, whosoever they may be. अब क्या होता है ना, in general, like in earlier cases, I was valuing my intellect and my ideas, not others. I was valuing my own emotions, likes, dislikes, not others. I was concerned only about my Annamaya Pranamaya Kosha and hunger, thirst, not others. And I was always with my own Deha Tadatma. This is a totally downfallen, wretched individual's life. When the sadhana started, Purusha was told in the heart, he has to be recognized. For that, the individual upadhis have to be transcended. Only way is by serving the total upadhi. That's how we started the whole talk. So instead of once Annamaya, you have all Annamayas. Instead of once Pranamaya, all the Prana. So too, instead of one's own mana, he is considered about others' likes, dislikes also evaluated. So too, from the Vijnanamaya or Buddhi, that mera hi idea kamana chahiye, no others' idea also. Such person always, what is your opinion? What is your opinion? They say. If somebody is saying, accept only my opinion, he is Duryodhana Rakshasa type. If he says, what's your opinion? It is like Bhagavan Rama. He calls his brothers. Says, भाई मैं करना चाहता हूँ तुम्हारा क्या राय है? Lakshmana said, no, let's not do Ashwamedha, Rajya Yaga. Bharat said, let us do Ashwamedha. He said, okay. Valuing others' intellects and ideas is such a beautiful thing. And also serving them that intellectual level if they are lagging behind, lacking something. This is a beautiful thing which we have seen already in the third Swarityaditya. Now the fourth one is what? I am important to me so much. Egoistic fellow. Bhayankar Rakshas. From this, when I value every individual, when I have concern for every individual and his self-respect, I am doing the Maha Upasana while living. Such person, when he goes through this that Sahasraram, he will be identified with the total Aham called as Mat Hiranyagarbha. Maha iti Brahma. He identifies the Brahma who is the Samashti Ahankar. For that, while living, whether it's a small child, he has got his own ego. We have to respect it. तू छोटा बच्चा है यूजलेस नालायक ऐसा नहीं कहना है. ठीक है पापा आप बड़े बच्चे हो यूजलेस नालायक. छोटे बड़े में फर्क है अदरवाइज सेम. You have to respect everybody's individuality. देखो otherwise what will happen? All this nonsense of the varna, ashrama, especially the varnas, the brahmana, insulting the Vaishya Shudra. No, the whole thing has turned the other way around. The Vaishya Shudra put under the feet the Brahmanas. The care ही नहीं करते उनको. उनको लेने का देना पड़ता है ना. All this nonsense comes only when we don't understand this. Every individual is equally sacred, like my individuality to me. And the biggest clash in this entire universe is only because clash of egos. The clash of egos creates the universal problems, intercontinental problems, international problems only because of ego. हाँ, सिर्फ अहंकार है और कुछ नहीं है. Where that sublimation of individual ego happens, by valuing the other egos or total ego, you have the highest thing you have achieved. Bhagavan Krishna does that. He respects all the egos throughout his life. Ego is not negative sense. The ahams, the Gopa Balakas, they have their own ego, he loved them. Cows, they have their own ego, he loved them. The mothers, he loved them, their ego. सब ego को सबके ego को उन्होंने satisfy किया. How is he able to do? He himself is not egoistic. नहीं तो मैं कृष्ण अवतार के रूप में हूँ, मेरे ये करो वो करो, कोई नहीं करेगा. चल बोलेंगे लोग. And he commanded love from all of them only because he sacrificed his ego by valuing their egos. Ego means individuality. See, like a person is there at a particular position. That position we have to recognize and respect. Staying in that position, if he does wrong, then we have all the right to educate him. We have all the right to train him, provided what is our relation with that person. Like if this is recognized, then the parents become alert when the child comes to the age of 13, 14. है ना? 10-12 साल तक जो ईगो बच्चों का होता है, that is very sensitive, simple ego. They demand the mother, father for this and that. When they scold, they cry also. A peculiar ego up to the 12 years होता है, which is not harmful at all. You scold them, they receive the scoldings, they ask something, you give them. उनका टेंशन नहीं होता भोज. When they come to the 13, 14, 15, a peculiar ego happens. because of so many physiological changes also, and in him the jiva is evolving and the real life starts at that time. So many reasons. At that time, if the parents try to continuously suppress that fellow up to the 17, 16 years, he will go through that suppression. In America, only up to 13 and a half, 14 years. After 14 years, the parents say anything, they complain case in the police station, my parents are harassing me, please put them in the jail. हो जाता है वहाँ. In India, अभी वो आया नहीं है that yeah, father can scold is 70 years child. He is 90. That joy is only in India. 70 साल के बेटे को 90 साल के पापा उस उम्र में गांड सकते रहे गधे करके पापा कहते हैं वो भी. It is understood. An intelligent parent knows his individuality is developing. So we have to respect it. How? By listening to him and feeling what is he talking. Anything wrong, correct it. Anything right, appreciate it. Anything extra to be added, lovingly as a friend, add it. You know, Lalayet, Palayet, then Panchavarsha, after 15 years, Mitravat Acharetu. There's a Subhashita sloka is there. And anybody, if he's a conductor or a driver, a bus. So what, if you are a Karodpati, you can't be a conductor driver like him. He is sacred in his own place. We have to value him. A worker at home, servant. How can you say you are greater than him? He is great, in fact, because that work you can't do, he is doing a carpenter. How can you deny? That's why Takshabhya, Ratakarebhya, Galalebhya, Karmarebhya, Punjistebhya, Nishadebhya. To all of them, the Namaskara is done in the Rudram. Because in all of them, Lord Shiva alone is there. Naktan Charabdhyeva Namaha. You studied, we taught it 2 years back. The Rudram we chanted. Last 6 months back, we studied in Telugu also. So while living, when I respect every individual, where are there? Value them. When I personally, as a yogi, when I reject, I'll be given chance to identify with Brahma. So I will be identified with total egos. Therefore, the power of managing that samashti yasti ahankaras comes. Then the balancing act those yogis do from that level. And that is what he said, Mahaiti Brahma apnoti swarajyam. What is the meaning of swarajyam? Then Manaspati, Vakpati, Chakshushpati, Shrotrapati, Vijnanavati. These are all the Phala Shruti. When we, from the individual Upadhi, identify the total Samashti, Mahatu, at the total level. That's how we experience those joys. We will be useful that way to the universe. And all of this is still in the path of evolution only. It is not the ultimate truth, the Brahma. Uska aur aage aayega topic. What we have to understand by so far, if we say in layman's language, is what? Enough of living at individual level, rise to the total level. It always happens in the office also. No? When from a clerk, when you become UDC, under whom the three clerks are there. When you become section officer, under whom the three UDs are there. So you are growing in identity. So your dignity is growing, your output is growing, you are getting more salary, more people are respecting you. When you head of that particular department, accounts department, sorry, log knows, pension department, everybody. So he is rising from that individual to the total. The joy multiplies. Of course, the responsibility also. Some more aspects are there. Adding them tomorrow, the sixth Anuvaka, we will conclude the fellowship. But today's introduction is very essential. The first 30 minutes of talk today, where we from the scratch we discussed, from the beginning we started. Very essential it is. If possible, we have to listen it again. At what level of life we are living, we have to become aware of that and start disliking it and try for living a higher life. Then slowly go to the heart and discover the Purusha there and feel for that Purusha what is he now and feel for that Purusha what he has to be. Then the Upasana as it is given here, when we do the Bhurva Swaha Vyaharta Upasana and through Yoga Prakriya, when we eject out then we will be given identity with the Samashti, then the joy is great. These are all the sixth Anuvakam talking to. Then in the seventh one, will they give us another Upasana, Pangta Upasana. Eighth one, they will give us, the Rishi will give us the Pranama Upasana, which is the best one. And after Pranama Upasana, how to live the entire life now of Vyavahara as well as Adhyatmikata combined as a synergy, not a contradiction or conflict with them. With the training given so far, he talks in those last paragraphs of this Valli, which is, I tell you, very important topic. It may come after 3 or 4 days. Don't miss it. Tomorrow, if you do this one day we do for the Pangtopasana, another day for the Omkara, then we go to that one. So don't leave the Shravanam every day. Thank you. Let us study our Viduraniti for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or anything. Hari Om, Hari Om. See, understanding our Upanishads only will help us to know how great, sublime were our rishis in their knowledge. Thank you.